He is the former director of the National Security Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency. He served at the pleasure of former President George W. Bush. General Hayden, we appreciate your time, and perhaps it's not too far afield to say that in terms of intelligence, you monitor Capitol Hill. What do you make of these twin announcements? First, the ISA announcement subpoenaing John Kerry, and also the news that at long last Speaker Boehner may form a select House committee on Benghazi.
Yeah, JD, I think the select committee announcement is by far the more important. It will allow the House now, in a reasoned, systematic way, to begin to peel back all the facts, allegations, charges, countercharges, and so on with regard to Benghazi. And we've needed that. Look, I've testified before congressional committees. It's really hard to be investigative on the part of the members because everyone gets 5 minutes, and you know the chain of questioning gets interrupted, halted, restarted, and so on. So based upon what's happened this past week, with the addition of these new emails and now a completely separate string of talking point development, it's kind of re-energized a lot of people to be interested in this. So let's do it. Let's look at this. Let's find out what's happened. Let's take our lessons from it, and then we can move on.
General, in the wake of this, and since our legislative branch is bicameral, do you anticipate in any way that Harry Reid, as the Senate Majority Leader, might follow suit with a Senate Select Committee on this?
Yeah, I take the point that our legislature is bicameral, and let me add the point that it's very political. And so, JD, no, we will not see a similar committee in the Senate. But you know, we're looking to find truth here, all right? And so the House committee, the investigation properly conducted, can actually contribute to the national understanding of this. And then, if we've got to take actions because of that, you know, the lessons learned and so on, then we can start pushing for legislation that, of course, will have to involve both houses or through executive action by the executive.
General, if I may, the media has been paying a lot of attention to this, as have Republicans, but why do you think the general public should care about these revelations, about these emails not being made available sooner?
Well, Miranda, there's a whole bunch of both substantive and process issues here. I mean, the process issue is the American people deserve a full and complete accounting. Right now, look, I'm an intel guy. I know there's some things you can't say publicly. I get it.
Right.
But clearly this email was not one of them because they eventually did make it public. So you deserve this full and current account. So that's one thing. Secondly, the public, I talk about Benghazi as a play in 3 acts. You know, what happened before the attack, what happened during, and what happened after. The emails and such are all about what happened after the attack. And that's important for the reasons I just stated. The testimony yesterday by Brigadier General retired Lovell raises some questions about what happened during the attack. But I have to tell you, Miranda, having been in those kinds of crises, I trained to be a lot more understanding of people trying to make decisions in that short time window. But then there's Act 1 of the play, which is, what were you guys doing with really substantive warning on the part of CIA that Benghazi had turned into a very dangerous place? And clearly, I mean, no one can claim that what we did for security there was adequate. I mean, we've got hard evidence of that. So there's a lot of things here that the American people have a right in clear answers.
General, here is the announcement from Darrell Issa. The State Department's response to the congressional investigation of the Benghazi attack shown a disturbing disregard for the department's legal obligations to Congress. Compliance with subpoenas for documents is not a game. So that's how it's breaking down jurisdictionally. But General, I want to bring you back to something else that just occurred in the media last night. A very tense interview on the Fox News channel where a former White House spokesman, heretofore a guy relatively anonymous, a young man by the name of Tommy Vietor, downplayed the recent controversy over the Benghazi talking points. Let's take you back. Listen to what was said last night on the Fox News channel.
Did you also change attacks to demonstrations in the talking points?
Maybe. I don't really remember.
You don't remember?
Dude, this was like 2 years ago.
Dude, this was like 2 years ago. Now, granted, General, we know the military and Capitol Hill and the administration have young people on staff. But this sophomoric, dismissive approach with the colloquialism, dude, that was like 2 years ago. What does that tell you about the people they have in the White House, supposedly on the national security team?
Well, I got to tell you, JD, when I saw that last night, my first thought was, oh, wow, I didn't know that was an acceptable answer. I could have used that a bunch of times in front of Congress.
Yeah, somehow, General, I don't expect you to go before the House or the Senate and say, dude. It just doesn't seem to be your M.O.
Yeah, no, it's not. You look at this and at the process. Number one, JD, all right, knowing what we now know about that interview, knowing what other people would have known about that interview before it took place, why would they let that interview take place? I'm just talking on a tactical, almost bureaucratic level. And the fact that he was able to go out there as unprepared as he was might actually be more revealing than anything he did or didn't say, you know?
Well, you take a look at this, and I guess the key term, General, is former. As we understand, he was basically a gopher in the Obama campaign driving vans, and he was rewarded with a job. But to believe that this guy was once the spokesman or may have had a hand in drafting those talking points certainly is shocking. And you laugh to keep from crying, to tell you the truth.
JD, look, his answer indicated that he may indeed have ordered the talking points, and he didn't remember it because he never viewed it to be a big deal. Now that's revealing.
That is very shocking, General. Now, other things going on in the world. Overnight for us, but during the day on the other side of the world, more violence in the Ukraine. A spokesman for Putin says, quote, "This is the last nail in the coffin for peace." What are you expecting now from the Russians vis-a-vis the Ukrainians?
I got to tell you, JD, looking at this analytically, I had thought Putin had gotten everything he needed by grabbing the Crimea. That was bad, all right? But it's kind of a limited action, and Crimea does indeed have a Russian history. And in my analysis, along with some other people with my kind of background, was that he was keeping those troops along the eastern border, not because he intended to invade, but just to kind of keep the heat up. Those were his table stakes in terms of being able to participate in how the future Ukrainian government shaped out. And I still believe that to be true, but I got to tell you, JD, that's kind of a smiley face analysis. This is going to be okay. I'm kind of still there, but my smiley face is not nearly as bold as it was 1, 2, or 3 weeks ago. I am fearful that Putin is playing with fire here. He's going to kick up these embers, and some of these embers are going to start a conflagration. And although, frankly, I think it would be a stupid move for him to move into the eastern Ukraine, and I still don't think he wants to do it, I'm more worried now than I've ever been that something really bad is going to take place here.
General Michael Hayden, we appreciate the body of work you have done in uniform and atop our intelligence gathering agencies, and obviously your incisive analysis is something that we very much appreciate, and your warning words about the Ukraine we take to heart. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We look forward to visiting with you again soon.
Thank you, JD. Thank you, Miranda.
Wow, this is very sobering. And the whole situation with the young man from the administration, you laugh to keep from crying, but it's very disturbing. Listen, when we come back, more on Benghazi. In fact, it's kind of like that old movie from the 80s, Benghazi Lies and Videotape. We touch on all of that when we come back. We also want you to weigh into our discussion. Why don't you tweet us your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. There's also email and Facebook.